Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dreamboat, flanked by Cyber Waste and GL Phoenix, and we are back for the AAOL Season 4 Stage 2. This time it's going to be MG Sharks BW Esports. Cyber Waste. We're going through to Nepal. How do you feel about that?
Extremely cold, and maybe at the risk of frostbite. But we're looking forward to where we end up on the poll. It's one of the tried and true maps, especially on the control game mode. Depending on where we start, we will start on the village, and it's one of my favorite points of the entire game because of how vast it can be, especially with the rooftops. If you have a good Farah and a Mercy in tow, you can absolutely devastate an attack that's not really ready for it. And when you get down to the point proper, it's so close quarters that you will see a lot of really unorthodox setups with like Reapers and a lot of the other heroes that are a lot more accustomed to close quarters. But now we are on the hero setup phase. Just as a quick reminder, we do not have Hammond available this week, but he will be in next week. And oh boy, I cannot wait, and I'm not sure you can either, Geo Phoenix.
Oh yeah, I am really excited once we do have Hammond rolling around and just slamming his way through the meta, hopefully, because from what we've been seeing elsewhere in the world in other events, he's just so fun to watch. But here we do finally have it. Both teams coming in towards the point, going straight for the high ground, and there's some rather different compositions coming from both sides.
Yeah, it's an intriguing setup we see from both sides, and Curious Squire, well, he's piquing my curiosity with this. Junkrat finds the kill onto the Reinhardt, but Primex and Magix are going to trade back a couple quick kills there. It's a very close fight right now. No team's kind of up or having an edge here, Cyber Waste, but they are getting on this cap, and they're going to get it very quickly before, even though there's a lot of players alive, could even get there.
It doesn't really matter if you're all alive. It doesn't matter if that's the case. If you're in the wrong place, you're gonna end up paying for it. And they're doing just that, with Magix and the rest of the crew just running right through this particular attack. And despite that delay, you can basically thank the Zenyatta Zarya Magix. Basically opened the point for them, got that little bit of extra percentage, and just distracted them for long enough for MG Sharks to get there and start marking some blood in the water as we go into 35% and wait for the next attack. And they do have a couple of good ults to go, and Mercy has already, I feel, jumped the gun and used the Earth Shatter there. And it's basically, come on, all for Nord Phoenix.
Yeah, just the return blade has done so much work, and this Reinhardt just slapping away at the rest of the members. I have to agree that essentially an entry Earthshatter coming in from the Reinhardt, it was made the job so easy for the defending Reinhardt. Just hold the shield. Sure, the Zarya was in front of it, but she has a shield of her own that can deal with that. And at that point, it was just very easy for Glacier Hazy to just dash in with that Dragon Blade, clean up the rest, and the rest of the team has a full stack of ultimates to come to at least assist for this next defense. And it's going to be very hard for this attack to come in, as we do have the Graviton going through. The Dragon Strike does get dropped as well, but because the Graviton did get eaten up, it didn't really do all that much, but it did split up that offense, and they are going to be able to clean them up, Brimo.
Yeah, I mean, there is a Junkrat here off. Curious Squire is doing everything he can. He's got a couple quick kills. He needs to get toward the point, but he can't get there. And that is going to be a Stonewall 100-0 for MG Sharks.
Would it be too far-fetched for me to say that the BW Esports got completely outclassed there? Because I barely even saw a full-blown attack out of them. They all seem so disheveled and all over the place right from the get-go.
Man, I thought you were going to be a lot more BM on that one. I thought you were going to be like, yeah, I barely even saw a kill from them.
You said that, not me. But
we can just attribute that one to Dreamboat, so yeah.
Yeah,
well, that's where I thought he was going with it, alright?
You're the one who had to say.
You said it, not me. You're gonna have to take that L. But anyway, we're going on to the shrine, and well, I don't see a change out of MG Sharks, so I don't really blame them. Well, aside from giving the Lucio a spin, but we do see the Brigitte from Daz Demon that may come into effect. And Curious Squire has piqued my curiosity as well with the May choice. I'd like to see where they end up going with that.
Yeah, well, it is going to be a point where you want to be clumping up on that shrine, but because the blue team, the Sharks, were able to get to it so much more quickly, thanks to that Lucio, they were able to set up, and it makes it very hard for this BW Esports lineup to actually make their way towards the point, because they are just slowly meandering their way towards the point. But with how solid of a defense, or solid of a setup this defense was, they're able to just pick them down one by one before they can really get anything done.
And you know, worth noting, if you are just tuning in and worried early on in this phase that the series could be a roll, we will play all 3 maps regardless. And some teams, they just happen to fare better on these control points as opposed to a payload map. So we'll see. You know, there's definitely time for BW Esports to turn it around.
They're gonna give it the good old college try, but they might not be able to do it this time. They're down to Des Demon, and that'll be that. We may as well call for the team kill bell now, with only Firestar left standing, and standing no more. Primix bow and arrow will take care of that. And now MG Sharks are up at 53% and really loaded for bear. They'll definitely have a full set of ults in this next fight because they're at 90% or higher. And we'll have to wait and see how the opposite side of BW Esports are even able to crack this defense. They're going to give it a go, though.
They do have, in their lineup, they do have the potential of the Graviton into the Dragon Strike, but there it is. It gets thrown straight through, but it's not going to catch anyone. Stage name is going to be able to survive through all that, and on the return swing, the Sharks lineup is just a little bit too dominant. They had so many tools to work with, and even though they still have some left in the bank, that was incredibly solid from them, and it looks like they're just going to shut them out yet again, and Earth Shatter gets dropped, and they're just going to be choking them all the way back into their spawn, and that is going to be 2 very solid 100-0 map wins for the MG Sharks.
And just to round it out, Noir dropping an easy clap in chat. I'm sure my boy Tech9 would be proud of him, because that was honestly felt like a fairly easy game. And I mean, just look at this here, Glacier Haze just jumping in with the Dragon Blade, getting a massive set of swings going around. He finds 3, cleans up the Mercy as well. Like that was kind of a testament to how that game went. It was an absolute haranguing.
Excellent.
Yep, that's really all that needs to be said. BW Esports didn't really get a chance to get going. They essentially ran into a brick wall, and then behind that brick wall there is steel, and behind that steel there is a giant tank loaded for bear with giant ammunition and a whole bunch of chain guns. So, to put it quite bluntly, that was a bit of a stomping by the Sharks, to be quite honest. But hopefully the members of BW Esports shake this off and move on to the second map, which will be Numbani in this pool, and maybe they'll fare quite a bit better.
Yeah, and one thing we saw a lot in pretty much every engagement was that BW Esports, they wanted to walk in as a solid unit, but because of the Genji play coming out of Glacier Haze, and also just how much chaos was thrown into those fights, they just got picked apart one by one, and when the attentions got dragged into several different directions, BW Esports, it just didn't seem to have that cohesion to consistently focus one single target to try and navigate these more chaotic fights. They just weren't able to do that, and MG Sharks really preyed upon them. I guess they were the plankton.
That would be
Plankton.
Yeah, that'd be the most astute way to put it, and Dreamboat Plankton really have to fight back, don't they?
Yeah, the Plankton need to stop just being there for the grazing. They need to start They need to adapt. It's time for evolution to kick in. Plankton, no more. This will be like poison plankton or something. They need to just find some way to do some damage, to find some way to kind of fend off the sharks. You know, make yourself a little bit poisonous. Make it so that these sharks can't just feed on you for days. And really, I mean, this is a big task for BW Esports. I'm not like, I don't have confidence after watching that game, but there's a chance. It's the funny thing about Overwatch. It's on any given Sunday, any given team can beat any given other team, but I still don't see it happening.
And speaking of Sundays, we will have a really cool thing to share with you at the end of the broadcast about the next few Sundays. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But we will see the next stanza in this set and see if BW Esports can actually take part in that evolution which our pal Dreamboat was alluding to, which is indeed a mystery and full of change that no one sees.
And this evolution isn't an all women's pay-per-view. Something else.
No, I was going with Motorhead.
I will tell you when it comes to evolution, Pokemon's the first thing that comes to mind.
We're all going in a direction.
Yeah.
You require a stone to evolve certain types. Maybe
You just need to level up. There
there's
are many
stones.
different ways which you can evolve in the world of Pokemon.
Stone's the coolest.
It also means that you can't learn moves after you evolve. You just bump
You know who the coolest is, Cyberway? The one true goddess.
Oh, we're not going into this. Not on broadcast.
That is not my area.
Oh, that was a bit out of left field, but yeah, wrestling's great. Watch Takeover, it's fun. We're experiencing a little bit of delay. We've got a couple of substitutions coming up. We'll see. At least the lobby is telling me so. We'll see Tahak be traded out for Mr. John. Apparently not a slash all on his own right either. Wonder how he'll deliver. Just give him his hero. Well, he's got a wide hero.
But considering how the rest of the team did play in that third round, the substitution probably won't be that much of a difference in play style and also success rate. It did seem like they were able to play kind of a solo queue style where it's just you pick something you're really good at and just overpower your opponents. That's what I tended to gather from that first one, where BW Esports, they were trying to play as a cohesive unit, but they were just getting picked apart when it came to essentially the aim battles and just the cohesion side of things.
Yeah,
Well, you know what you do if your team cohesion starts to fall apart? Gimmick your way to victory. Do the cheeky picks, the cheeky strats, and come in out of left field, and you might just be able to steal one away.
So what you're saying is they need to sucker punch them with the Doomfist.
Not inherently saying that might be the way I am suggesting it.
It's a suggestion.
It's
and we
a
have-
subtle.
It's an idea.
and we do see
Concept.
some more Doomfist popping up here and there, so it's not out of the realm of possibilities, but it is one of those things where you can't just pick up a Doomfist and like, oh yeah, I know how to play other heroes, therefore I can play Doomfist. No, he is a very unique beast in trying to get to work in a very limited array of compositions that work alongside him.
It'll only work a certain amount of times in certain situations. It's a very small instance sort of hero.
You can only punch someone so many times before they put up their guard.
Yeah. They're not going to be punching bags for long. They will eventually learn how to guard, and when you figure that out, you're going to have to try and find another way through.
You know what I'd like to figure out?
What's that?
How to end these delays. Because it looks like these guys are ready, and I think we should be getting ready to go soon.
There's some R's being thrown into the chat. From the shots.
There are a lot of pirates because they're all going R all over the place.
RC.
RC.
That was a stretch. I know.
RC Pro Am? That's a good game. That is a good game and actually really fun. One of those games that have stood the test of time. And speaking of games that will potentially stand the test of time,
I hope.
we're going into the next part of this game, which is Numbani.
You know what the funny part about that delay was?
Oh, I'm pretty sure you'd find it funny.
The fact is that with our, a delay between maps and a delay before the game, I think this entire series might actually be longer in terms of pauses than it will be in terms of actual map time if this map goes quickly. And, MG Sharks, they look poised to put up a good time on this map. It is do or die right now for BW Esports. They need to step it up, and in a big way, Phoenix.
Yeah, they have to hold their ground, or at least delay them long enough that they can put up a reasonable time for themselves. But considering how that first map go, I'm a little bit worried about how things are going to go. We haven't necessarily seen BW Esports get set up and hold ground at any point, because at every stage in that previous map, they were trying to make their way towards a point where we're getting caught out in that process. But if they're able to set up, maybe that's a chance for them to get something to stick. But it's just going to be another situation right now where they're pushing straight into the face of the Sharks, and they have shown already that they are very adept at dealing with attackers.
Also, and perhaps that iron wall that which we pretty much alluded to and you saw in living color early on, whether it will still be able to stand. They will roll out as soon as the gates roll down, and we see actually quite a sane and potentially unraveling attack here from BW Esports. This could throw the side of MG Sharks off if they're not prepared, but it looks like they definitely are, as some of them are moving onto the high ground and up into the air, and Gladiator is really poised to take them all on, and he will cut, and Primix will be an assistant and take David right off of the server, and Furious Squire will put a rocket right through themselves and just lose to the laws of physics. So that pretty much will be a push quash.
Yeah, it does not look like they will even find a singular tick. There's Lucio just going to kill himself with this maniacal, just to try and get his spawn back in. And really, they did a decent job getting in. They didn't do much once they got in, which was unfortunately the problem. To see if they can change it up a little bit here, Phoenix. And what did you see that they could have changed?
Well, unlike the approach that they had, going towards that high ground and then diving straight to the back, but they just didn't really pay attention to how the rest of the defense was set up and got punished from the side and behind by the rest of the team. They're going for a very similar style, just going for the dive, but yet again, they just don't really respect the defense enough, and they just get caught out by it. Magic's able to clean up so many members with this Primal Rage, and with just a single ultimate, they are going to be able to hold on really strongly, and they have done so well this entire series so far at managing ultimates and having just enough for the next push.
Never put in more than you need to, pretty much. It's the laws of cooking and the laws of Overwatch. And Magic's getting extremely good value off of that Primal Rage that needs to be said again. Only one ultimate and it wiped out the entire team. This could be the best chance for the BW Esports crew to try to get in, and that looks like that is what they are attempting to do by trying to go to the high ground. And it's a really good start thus far.
Yeah, Mercy finding a few really nice kills with his Primal Rage. Does need to start coming back the way of MG Sharks if they don't want to give up any more ticks. But they've already given up 2, and it looks like they're going to get on the 3rd. The Dragon Blade is out here. It's found the Mercy and the Fair. It is looking for some more, trying to get what it can, but that nuke will be perfectly placed, forcing them off the point. So they do, in fact, cap that out with a lovely little push.
Yeah, really nicely done there. Controlling a lot of space, and although they are going to end up losing this fight, they have managed to control the point enough that they capture it and get the payload rolling. But at this stage, it's going to be very hard. it looks like the Sharks are trying to just pin them straight back into their spawn, as it's going to be a bit of an effort for BW Esports to make their way out of their own spawn. It's pretty rough, but if they're able to do it, this could be a bit of an overextension from the defense, but right now they're trying to keep the fights going, managed to take down 2. They do get a return kill onto the Mercy, but it looks like Primax is just having a field day on this Hanzo.
Indeed, that will be that. I think that is the last member of the attack taken out of commission. And they're all standing right on top of the cart where the first point is. It hasn't even rolled out. And look at the way that the tanks and a couple of the damage shields are stationed. And Primax looking right at the spawn gate. This could end up in a very bad way. Oh my goodness. Primax will claim 3 and the mech.
They do realize that the point was taken, right? That this isn't necessarily a point that you need to sit for this entire defense, because it feels as though it's just still a first point defense for them.
Yeah, you know, even if you cap it, it just means that the spawns are closer, right? But they are trying to get back in here. Mercy's gonna get right on the Zenyatta, but he pops off that Transcendent to allow his teammates to come in here. And the Dragon Blade is coming in as well. As Glacier is picking up Death Demon. He's looking for some more DMX to Diva. And now Magis as well doing a lot of work. These two players have just picked up so many kills right now. Magis again with a 3 or 4K there. Just completely stuffing this team.
They're effectively being so... They aren't even allowed out. They've essentially built a prison for BW Esports to be in, and it's going to be up to them to break out. A run into 1 minute and 40, and only 2 ults are on deck, the Sound Barrier and the Primal Rage. The Primal Rage could be their best chance to dislodge some of these really stubborn defenders. There goes the self-destruct from Thoswin, and that will drop the Brigitte and eject stage name from said mech. I did get a parting gift onto Magic's though. And all said and done, this could be another one fight, and it might even just be 1 minute left in the time bank before this payload does get moving. But Mercy's had enough and has whipped out the Primal Rage. We'll claim the high heavy hitter in Glacier Shazy, and there goes the Transcendence from Noir. So they are holding a very good war and a very good war of attrition, but this could be not over yet.
Yeah, the Rocket Barrage comes out, gets completely denied and cleaned up. And although the payload has moved about 5 meters, there's still a hell of a long way to go. They actually managed to get it to about 10 meters. So it looks like this defense has kind of run its course because of the distance between spawn and the point. They are in a bit of a pickle, but here comes the Dragon Strike to separate those attackers, and also the Blizzard does the same thing for the defense, but this is going to allow BW Esports to get a little bit of progress on this cart, but they're going to have to stick to this like glue. If they manage to drop off for any amount of time, it could be disastrous. But Dreamboat, how long do you think they can keep this one up?
Well, I mean, one of the things is MG Sharks keep staggering players. They could actually get at least the second point. Because there's been a lot of bleed coming in for MG Sharks. The Mercy that super late got super heavily staggered. So they are going to try and fight this out, but this Bastion as well on the point is going to do a lot of work shredding this down. They get right on top of it, find that out, and now the Dragon Blade is coming out here. This is going to be the play. It needs to stunt this offense. They've got a res coming in, they found a few more kills, they're looking for a bit more, but the offense has found a couple quick back the other way. The rest of these kills need to come in right now for BW Esports. It's in overtime, and they need to get this to the second point. Cyberways, can they do it though?
They really should, given how spread out some of the members of the attack of MG Sharks are. That even if they get knocked back on the attack of BW Esports, that could be all game over. Primitives brings out the pair of wolves. They are hungry like the wolf, like Duran once said. And that's basically set everything into hysterics. Did get 3. Death Demon also gets a reply. But this payload has been locked in place, Phoenix, and it is close to being halted.
Yeah, just the resurrections and the rest of them coming in was just a little bit too much. Managing Jean-Paul able to get multiple resurrections over the course of that incredibly drawn out fight. it essentially made a lot of the difference. Just having that extra man was just a little bit too much for BWE Sports to deal with throughout those long and extended engagements.
Wow. That, I still can't get over that, well, pseudo first point defense. Yeah, BWE Sports got the point, but they were basically unable to move that entire round until basically overtime. It was really unorthodox. It really threw me off through a loop, and they definitely won't be able to try that again. But now,
I'm curious to see what comp we see coming out right now from MG Sharks. They felt pretty confident, and I like the picks here. They've actually swapped over a little bit. Magix, he was doing a lot of work on that Winston, and now he's over on the Doomfist, and they have Glacy Haze on the Winston after being Genji. So a little bit of a role swap there. Seeing, I don't know if that's tactical or whether that's just the way that they feel like doing it.
Well, it could be a thing of hero pools. Maybe Glacier Haze doesn't necessarily have the proficiency on the Doomfist, but Magix does, and they want to just throw this Doomfist in to try and catch them out, try and dive straight through a lot of those static defenses, which we do end up seeing. We've got the double massive shield with the Reinhardt and also the Orisa. So this is a very beefy setup, but I have to see if the Sharks are going to be able to just punch their way through it.
They definitely really want to, and keep an eye on the Tourbillon as well for Curious Squire and the Symmetra actually. So really hunkered down defense, essentially a one and done. And once this gets sniffed out, if this is played right by the side of MG Sharks, it could be one and done. It could be pretty much all over. There goes the turret. Thanks to Glacier Shades, and that's basically forced everybody out. There is the creator of said turret taken out of the equation, and this defense is basically snapped back like a twig.
Yeah, I mean, there is still the Orisa trying to save it out, and the Symmetra, and they're just getting absolutely shredded right now by a mini diva. The mini diva is doing all the work, gets the mech back, and really they should be able to clean up this final couple kills here. Spawns are going to come in and keep this actually a little bit more of an extended fight here, though, Phoenix.
Yeah, they're able to keep it going, but with how much damage coming out from Noir on this Zenyatta, it's just a little bit too much to deal with, and as the rest of the attacking side are going to respawn, they're going to clean this up very efficiently, and with how confidently they've been playing, even going ahead and dropping that Transcendence just before this thing is pushed, but they're going to essentially transition into the good old pirate ship.
Yo ho, a pirate's life for me. Will they be able to beat Buccaneers and put the ship on the side of BWE Sports, or will there be an era of piracy that shall be seen? There are a couple of resources that they could use on BWE Sports. We see the Coalescence, we see the Supercharger potentially on deck, but Predicts on a huge flag. If they catch them unaware, this could be absolutely dire. And the Slim Double whiff on Primix did get hit with a bio nade, but that won't be much when you put an arrow right through Grandma's skull. And that is, well, pretty much that. They won't even be able to come close to contest. And MG Sharks just take a huge bite out of Numbani and just tear it up and walk away. What do you make of that?
Yeah, that was essentially dominance from start to finish from the Sharks. It's not the most unusual compositions. I mean, we see it quite frequently at the very start of Junkertown, just setting up on that payload. But it's one of the few times I've seen a transition into that on the hybrid style of map. So it was interesting setup coming in from the Sharks, but I understand how it works, how it all goes together. And I wanted to really show their dominance over the BWE Sports.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Dreamy.
At the end of the day, They put in a solid effort, but really they were just kind of outclassed in a lot of different manners. They were winning BW Esports were utilizing ults to try and win fights, and MG Sharks were winning them without really using ults. They kind of spend an ult to fight and come out on top, and that just kind of shows that they are a little bit higher level as a team right now. They're just outclassing them, and really they just managed to cruise to victory on our second map. And if you are kind of new to this whole AAOL Esports thing, we did just play 2 maps. This is not a best of 3, it's a 3-map series. So we are going to be going to Volskaya. That'll be our 3rd and final map of the evening. But really, you have to have confidence in MG Sharks to take it fairly handedly.
Yeah, they've just shown time and time again that, as you mentioned, they're not necessarily needing to rely on their ultimates to clean up a lot of these fights. They can do a lot of it just with regular aim battles. But they do, once they do end up throwing in some ultimates, they are incredibly efficient in cleaning up fights and then pushing the tempo, pushing their advantages as much as they possibly can.
And to be honest, I'd just love to see BW Esports try to come together and get at least partially a solid defense on Volskaya, because you can do it, especially on second, if you dig in well enough and you give it enough time. But we will have to wait and see. But we are now on the road to the final map of the evening, which is Volskaya Industries and Dreamboat. I know you're used to it, but give it a bit. You're Canadian and everything. But where it's getting extremely cold.
Yes, it's time to put on your parka. Time to get ready to go wade out into the Russia winters, and just kind of embrace the cold, embrace the freeze, and hopefully BW Sports don't get frostbite. Hopefully they don't get completely frozen out here. I'd like to see them at least get kind of a cap through on first point, and potentially break it second point, because you know what? It's not over till it's over. You can be rough on map 1. You can be rough on map 2. You might be able to be. We might be looking at BW Sports, the world's biggest Volskaya Industries one trick. This might be their map.
One trick when it comes to a map. That'd be a new thing. I mean, very often we see one tricks when it comes to heroes. Like we have a Genji one trick, we have a McCree one trick. But when it comes to specific maps for teams, that'd be a new one, to be honest.
Yeah, it's something we see a lot more in like Counter-Strike or something, where teams map pools because there is so much tactical variance to each map. Some teams just happen to be better on, like, they have that one map that they really grind their strats on. Like, you never know. Maybe they just decided to really grind Volskaya to be their map.
Well, it would take a bit of an effort because things are almost constantly changing when it comes to approaches of defense and attack on this map. When we also got the new Symmetra, who opens up a few other options. We've seen that a couple of times here and there, trying to use the teleporter to get in and around the corners, or trying to approach with the giant death ball, or the big meat combo. I think it was... What was the big combo? Was it...
The wall of meat.
Yeah, the wall of meat, that's what it was called. Yeah. So there are multiple different ways you can approach it. So in order to kind of one-trick a map, you gotta really put in the hours as a team. So I'm interested to see how this one's going to pan out.
A bit of a curiosity. It is possible to one-trick a map in terms of knowing all the strategies, but as you said, with the way that even the heroes change and positions change, and there are a few dynamic elements, especially when we get to the second point with the moving platforms and things like that. So we'll have to wait and see how it all pans out. But MG Sharks, pretty well set up to defend. We see 4 tanks. Oh, hang on, I miscued. It's 5 tanks on the defense.
5 tanks and a Lucio.
5 tanks and a Lucio. Well, I'm curious. Let's see what happens. And there goes the Halt to go out to hopefully pull someone into the cold icy depths, but they picked the wrong side, so they will have to fight it out tooth and nail right under the main gate, Phoenix.
Yeah, they are just going very aggressive with their defense, and they're just going to run them all the way down. A good charge does go in onto Ospoon, as they are going to be able to take out that Reinhardt, but with another 4 tanks still available, they can stick around more than long enough in these fights, and Lucio is going to be pulling more than double duty when it comes to the healing.
Oh man, that was just that was very well done, especially with how late they managed to stagger Firestar on that Mercy pick. Now we start to see something they need to be worried about. Monaco's gone to the tank shredder. He's sitting on Reaper right now. If he can hit his shots, that would do a lot of work against this comp.
That and the Junkrat on deck from Curious Squire as well, so he can get in a position and hopefully wear down that defense matrix. It could be a big deal. There goes the Earth Shatter from Mercy, but Magix will clearly wipe him out from the server. Elsewhere will also drop Curious Squire, so a little bit less explosive for the time being, and another attack pretty much just stopped in its tracks.
Yeah, that was a very ambitious Earth Shatter coming out from Mercy. He was also standing in the middle of the shield that Noir put down on the Winston, so he was pretty much standing in the middle of it. Not really sure what he was expecting to get out of that Earth Shatter, but it did end up pushing himself forward way too far, and they were able to clean him up and the rest of the team. But here comes another approach. It's starting to look a little bit iffy here, Dreamboat.
Yeah, this is looking dire at best, but that Riptire from Curious Squire adds a little intrigue into the mix. A couple early picks, depending when these spawns come back in, they're able to convert a couple more. They might be able to move off of it, but they do drop a few more players. And this Junkrat is in all kinds of trouble. He's got the Ana with him. Sleep Dart comes in. They might actually be able to demech the Diva. In fact, oh, the nuke coming out. Gonna get a new mech right up very quickly. And yeah, this is not feeling good for BW Esports right now.
No, it is not. We're running into 1 minute 30, and they've barely made a dent in this entire defense. And there is still a couple of ults left to use. There is a nano boosted Reinhardt. He is big, German, and extremely angry, and now extremely dead. And the rest of the team will actually go with it. Mr. Jean Paul is the only person to reply. But keep an eye on the points. There was Medical, and he got a point for free because everybody was so preoccupied. That could be MG Shark's undoing. But they got left a little bit red-faced, but they did get 1 tick and some change. It's better than nothing, I guess, Rainbow, but they will need a lot more than that.
I'm planting my flag on the point.
Yeah, I mean, they're actually working towards a second tick here as well. It looks like they're going to be able... No, they're jumping off the point. No, they've got their on. So they're going to find a second point. They may well be able to grab a third. The re-aggression is coming back in here. They need to start finding these picks. They need to find something. Glaciers and Jean Paul will get it. But now these ults are coming out here, and they're starting to get a little bit of cleanup. But they're still dropping all their players. And it looks like, especially with Noir, with the Primal Rage, is going to be enough to hold that down. They get about 2.5 ticks, and I think that should be all they're right. Because I'm not sure they'll be able to get back towards the point with a full push in.
Yeah, it looks like this defense has kind of set itself up yet again. So trying to get in around the side, it's not going to be done enough, and they are just getting shut out right now. Still, considering how their defense started, that's a decent amount of progress on the point for this side of the BW esports, but still, the way this is going, I'm very worried about how this defense is going to go.
Yeah, it feels like there's going to be a lot of pace to this attack. It feels like this could be a very short round. I'm curious to see what the defense comes out for BW Esports. But as I look over across the water here, the ice sitting around, feels like this is shark territory. We might be in San Jose, the bay down there, because there's a lot of sharks around here, and they feel hungry, and it looks like they're feasting on BW Esports.
I feel like you've been trying to get that reference in all night, and you finally did it. Well done. But it's very cold waters down there in Volskaya, as a matter of fact, and hopefully none of the attacking members of MG Sharks actually go swimming there, because Sharks can't survive. But look at that. I would really want to think, given MG Sharks is playing with such confidence. Look at their current lineup. Yeah, they can change it because they are an attack and have the luxury to do so. It looks really weird. And look at the defense as well.
Yeah. 5 supports and a bastion. Alrighty. That I think they understand the situation that they're in and just wanted to have a potentially just one last hurrah before this all kind of just
Gotta put on a show. Gotta put on a show
Well-
for the people, Phoenix.
yeah.
Well, I will tell you a little story. I played a game with a few of the guys from Team Regicide. Granted, it was just quick play. But we ran 6 healers on Blizzard World, and we won with a very steamrolly time. So you never know. Maybe the 6 healers is truly the new meta. They're running 5 this time with a Bastion. I understand that. But this is an intriguing lineup that is being run right now. Looks like they're going on a bit of a flank play with the teleporter. Well, they expect it. The Bastion's already moving. Looks like into the right position for that.
Starting to set themselves up. Curious Squire is forcing them back into the building, but with all of this, they don't have a front line, so all the supports are just going to get caught out, frozen to the spot, and they are going to lose a couple of members. Sure, they have another extra couple of supports if they need some sustain, but with the rest of this attacking side making their way to the point, it looks like the Sharks are trying to close this one out quick.
Yeah, that went about as well as you'd expect 5 healers to go in a proper environment.
The Nikers... no, never mind.
Could have expected a little bit more of a fight, but we see one tick, potential second coming very, very shortly. The Firestar is having something to say about it on the Tracer, just trying to buy time for the rest of the respawn, but gets promptly hacked and deleted from the server. We could see a second tick, and there goes the Blizzard to pretty much put an insurance policy into play, and that'll be nobody else being able to contest. And with absolute dominance, MG Sharks will win this set 3 maps and 0. What do you make of that?
Not really much to say other than it seemed like it was an outclassing run from the get-go. MG Sharks were clearly the stronger team right here, and they just showed their dominance.
Yeah, really. I mean, it was just a systematic breakdown at every kind of step of the way for BWE Sports, and not really by any fault of their own. I mean, they are gold players, and I think a couple silvers as well. Going up against platinum, a couple diamonds. So, just based off kind of your competitive rank,
Bit of a mismatch.
you'd expect that it was a mismatch on paper. It was a mismatch in the server. They actually did a lot better than I expected, kind of going in. They managed to get the cap on Nimbani. They managed to get 2 ticks here on Volskaya. They did better than on paper I thought they would. I thought they were going to be honestly absolutely crushed that much harder. So they have a few positives they can take away in that sense. But yeah, at the end of the day, this was the expected result, an absolute bloodbath with very little that BWE Sports could do.
Well, they gave their best, and well, that's all we'd really expect, to be honest. It's just a little bit unfortunate in terms of how these 2 teams ended up meeting with such a great divide in terms of skill, and it sadly was on display for the rest of that entire set. But Dreamboat, Phoenix, that'll be the end of the set. But we have something cool to share. Something happening tomorrow night on this channel from 7 o'clock. Dreamboat, would you kindly give the people a little bit more clarity as to what I'm talking about?
Well, it is time for Australian Overwatch to rise up and become one of the powerhouses in the world. And that means it's tournament time. The Rise Up Invitational. We got some damn good teams. I mean, some of those guys were in contenders this past season. And there's some of the bigger names in Australian Overwatch. So I'm looking forward to that. Cyberwaste, you actually have the team list handy. You want to run it down for the boys?
Yes, indeed. There are, as Dreamboat mentioned, we do have a couple of contenders alumni from this previous season, as well as a lot of Trials and Open Division heavy hitters. We have Paradigm Shift, Moth Black, Surge Esports Club, Dignity, Pixel, Exco, Cascade, and it's Toxic Visions.
Twisted Vision.
Twisted Visions. It was one of them.
Tainted Visions. One
No,
of those.
Not quite. That's Tainted Minds. They got to.
Why it says tainted? Oh, it says tainted on one of the.
Yeah.
It says tainted on
Yeah.
one of the images.
Yeah, that got thrown on, that threw everybody through a loop. But with that being said, yes, join us from 7 p.m. tomorrow. Yes, stream.
Do we dare do MVPs for the series?
I think
That just seems a mere formality. If you want to, you can.
Yeah, just for me, it was whoa, oh, it's Magic's. You know,
yeah, I was gonna go with Magic's as well.
Yeah, I think that was
never believe it's
little
not
doubt.
so.
It's
It's Magic's.
Yeah, it's Magic's.
I've
But
been
yeah, it's
sitting
with-
on that for 2 maps, so
All
I
the-
just wanted to get that out of my system.
course you would.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But with all that said and done, yes, we would gladly invite you to join us from 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on this channel, AAOL Esports, to kick off the Rise Up Invitational full of heavy hitters, contenders, alumni, and potential stars for tomorrow. And it will be started off by the three of us, Cyberwaste, Dreamboat, and GL Phoenix. But that will be all for now. We would all like to say good night, happy fragging, and be the best hero you can be.
Drive safe.